really grateful for the opportunity to speak to you again, and I apologize that I'm here and I hear from my back. I'm really sorry. So I wanted to update you on the work we've been doing with PS IS 217 since our last meeting in July, and to let you know about our plans for the coming months. We've been meeting roughly every 6 to 8 weeks with staff and parents at PS IS 217 to discuss ways that Cornell Tech can help develop STEM opportunities at the school. In the area of professional development, which is one of the areas that the school we've agreed to discuss, we've been involved in several ways. We introduced the middle school math teacher to Bootstrap. And I don't have the Wi-Fi password, so I guess I won't.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is not working in the room anymore.
So it's all good. We've been involved so Bootstrap is an online game design software that's designed to teach algebra to students. It's got a very high researched success rate. It comes out of, it was actually developed by a Cornell alum out of his graduate work at the University of Colorado. It's a really impressive curriculum that's actually now being adopted by Code.org nationally. She uses that. She attended a 3-day training session last summer and began the program in her classes during the school day in October. We held a conference called To Code and Beyond in early December to convene the New York City computing community to discuss curriculum that all students can have access to in the New York City public schools. So there were educators, there were policymakers, there were funders, there were after-school and program developers, and we had a full day. We heard from Minerva Tantoko, New York City's Chief Technology Officer, and Kristen Titus, the Executive Director of the New York City Tech Talent Pipeline. That has got to be the longest title of anybody I know. Kristen Titus was a co-founder of Girls Who Code. We had students who addressed us, actual high school students, and program folks, and the administrators from PSIS 217 were invited, and Ursula Fokine attended. We also brought Rick Campbell, the former director of the Masters in the Art of Teaching program at Bard College, to observe and meet with Principal Beckman at her request, her administrative staff, and her middle school teachers. Our goal is to create professional development for the middle school staff that empowers them to embed computational literacy and digital fluency in their curriculum across subject areas. Dr. Campbell followed up with some recommendations and reading material relevant to the discussion that he had with teachers and Mrs. Beckman. And Mrs. Beckman has since corresponded with Dr. Campbell with a request for support designing and implementing a week-long inquiry-based unit in early May that I think will embed computing in that subject matter. I will work with Dr. Campbell and Mrs. Beckman to design the professional development that will support the creation of that unit. It will probably happen sometime in early April. In the area of after-school computing opportunities, oops. Okay, so that's Bootstrap. I was going to run it for you so you could see it, but sadly, no Wi-Fi. So, but as you can see, it is game programming. It is not the most exciting software I ever saw, but seeing kids engage with it is amazing. And the Emmanuel Schanzer, who designed it, says, when you teach a kid to make scrambled eggs also not the most exciting thing in the world, but the fact that they have mastery over something that they see out in the world somehow is what really engages them. And the other thing to know about algebra is that it is really a fulcrum. It is a very powerful predictor for academic success. If we can get kids on top of algebra, we know that they are much more likely to graduate from high school, they are much more likely to enter college, they are much more likely to graduate from college. And Emmanuel Schanzer's theory was that while we don't have any computer science credentialed teachers in the city of New York, we have a lot of math teachers, and we could probably convert them, and that's what this does. In the area of after-school opportunities, we met with the Beacon program staff at the end of the summer to provide some tech-related options. One, a coding program called Codesters was started in October in the after-school and is led by a middle school math teacher. And Codesters is being donated to PSIS 217 at our request. And I think it's gone really well. In fact, the same math teacher is running it in the after school at 217 that is implementing Bootstrap, and she's told me that she thinks, particularly for the younger children, she finds Codesters really preferable. So it's now making its appearance during the school day as well. The most interesting thing about Codesters is that it actually teaches kids to program in an authentic programming language called Python. My daughter is a computer science major in college, and she codes in Python. A lot of middle school coding programs, Girls Who Code and many others, start with a block coding language called Scratch that comes out of MIT. It's considered easier because it doesn't involve syntax. You move, drag and drop blocks around. But moving kids from that drag and drop to actual coding language is something we don't have a lot of research for. So these kids in our middle school are actually now coding in Python just like coders. We also offered to sponsor a robotics team this year. So although the Beacon was not able to get the program started in time for the 2015 competition season, we're hopeful that in 2015-16, Roosevelt Island will send a team to the first LEGO League competition. We introduced the Beacon to the Museum of the Moving Image. While the Beacon itself chose not to hire the museum to provide programming at the school, Ms. Fokine met with museum personnel at our December event and was very enthusiastic about what they offered. The museum recently contacted PSIS 217 when they received some grant funding that they offered to use to defray the cost of providing the program during the school day. So I'm hopeful that that will result in some programming from the Museum of the Moving Image, which is really around digital filmmaking, so using code and computing to build films. And I think it's really engaging for students, and I'm hopeful that that will happen. The other thing is that I have reached out to the Department of Youth and Child Development, DYCD, which funds the Beacon, to see what we can do to improve the opportunities at PSIS 217. You know, they are the after school of record on Roosevelt Island. Of course, the program, as all Beacons are, is open to students around the community. So I've had several really engaged meetings with them. I know they have their eyes on the program and are going to really work hard with program staff to try to build it. And then we are talking about a summer program in tech here on Roosevelt Island. I don't have details to confirm it yet, but I'm really optimistic that it will happen.
Through them?
Sorry?
Through DYCD.
Through DYCD. The good thing about the DYCD, if it's through DYCD and actually in partnership with CUNY, is that we leverage that funding that's already here, and we leverage it, you know, to gains for kids here on the island. And this was me showing you a demo of, sadly, not Codesters. So I'll be happy to share those links with Jane, and you guys can play with them yourselves. I really recommend it. It's a lot of fun. So part of our lease offers us a very tantalizing opportunity to have a tech event at PSIS 217. This year we are calling that tech event Hack Roosevelt Island. It will be on April 17th. I'm sorry I didn't get that date up on the slide. That was a mistake on my part. And it is being driven by and will be run by that day our graduate students, our MBA and our Masters in Engineering students. The program is being led by a woman named Miwa Takaki, who is an MBA student who has won a very, very coveted award at Cornell for her academic accomplishments and for her community involvement. She has led our mentor program this year, and she is leading our tech event at 217 as part of her her engagement with the community. So we will be descending, I would say, on 217. I'm bringing 80 Chromebooks led to us for the day by Google. We are going to, because it's so closely timed to Earth Day, we're going to do game design on environmental topics. So the kids are going to learn to program games with pull some data, talk about things that matter to them around the environment. And in so doing, they're going to learn some coding, they're going to learn some design, they're going to play each other's games. We're hopeful that it's going to be a really fun day. I want to say it's our first time, so I think it'll be good, and I think it'll be better next year. We're really all learning together. You know, hackathons with middle school students who have never coded before or just coded a little bit is new territory, but we're really excited, and we know we have great material. And we'll be bringing a consultant with us for the day who is more accustomed to hands-on work with kids. When we're done at the school, we're then going to swarm the Roosevelt Island Senior Center and work with seniors in their computer lab on topics of interest to them. So we're really looking forward to it. Again, this is our learning year. We expect to do this every year, maybe not April 17th every year, but we're really excited about it. I am, let's see, I've lost track in my notes, and I apologize. Okay, so that is where we are. I'm hopeful we're going to continue to meet with parents and staff on Roosevelt Island. We're trying to figure out how we can drive more STEM activity at the school, what kind of professional development needs the school has, and how we can figure out ways to bring that to 217, leverage our partnerships and resources and their partnerships and resources to improve outcomes for kids. And then I have this very exciting questions slide. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Diane. We'll open it up for a few questions. So, because then we'll go to Andrew, and then we'll have questions after each session. So, right now, anybody who has questions about K through 12, you can ask them at this point in time. We've been joined by Ellen Pallaby, task force member. Yes, Christine.
Just to drill down on the Tech Hack Day, I know there's some scheduling issues. Do you guys have the time frame for when you'll be at the school?
We believe, our scheduling issues are not 100% resolved, but we believe we'll be starting after lunch, so we'll be
2 hours.
I think it's going to be more like 3. We're going to borrow an hour of kids after school, and we'll be sending permission slips home to do that, so that we don't feel like 2 hours is enough.
I agree. Yeah.
So, you know, our preference would have been really to capture the whole day. That's obviously not an option. We're right in the middle of testing. I'm hoping that it's going to be a really nice break for kids in the middle of, they have their English language arts testing Monday through Thursday, and then I think their math testing the following week, so maybe it will be like a little party.
And you mentioned 80 Chromebooks.
Well, I'm bringing 80 Chromebooks. I think we're going to have more than 80 kids.
Or the whole school?
We're just doing, well, Mrs. Beckman has not identified the grades yet, but I'm going to assume that it's either 5, 6, 7, or 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
That's what she said, right? Yeah.
Somewhere around there. Okay.
I think, you know, partly we really want to whet the appetite of the fifth graders.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And then the other programs, not to drill down too deeply, but the
Drill
museum,
away.
the Museum of Moving Image, they came with a grant to help defray the cost of the school. If they can't come up with the rest of the money, they won't be able to get that.
That's true. I think the communication that I've had with the Museum of the Moving Image is that they're highly, highly motivated to figure out a way to work with 17. So when they, I think we thought the Beacon would step up,
Sure.
and that, by the way, could change. I mean, I really am in very close contact, not so much with the program here, but with DYCD.
Yeah.
But then they found a way to defray half the cost. So it's a manageable amount. We'll just have to figure out whether this late in the year it's possible to find those resources.
And do you have any solutions with a school like PS 217 when they don't have a lot of funds? They're not, Upper East Side and all that. So let's say this lovely moving image gives some money this one time.
Mm-hmm.
What about sustainability? Cornell has tremendous relationships, which is a great thing, but the funds just aren't there for the school, and I know that's not a part that Cornell can commit to, like financially anyhow. So sustainability, it's great to have a one-off. I know the principal would like enduring, long-term, sustainable.
Absolutely. On the Museum of the Moving Image front, there is a sustainable solution. We were too late for it this year,
Okay.
but they are eligible to apply for council funds for after school, for enrichment partnerships, and it's quite generous, and the Museum of the Moving Image does it at many other schools using those funds.
Right, and I don't mean just that, I mean.
And I understand, I just want to say on the Museum of the Moving
Yeah,
Image
sure.
front, there is a sustainable opportunity.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're right, we're gonna have to figure out new sources of funding, we're gonna have to look at those together. I'm certainly talking to a lot of people and trying to figure out how we can cobble that together. It's a challenge, I think, all over the city.
Of course.
I'm a committed partner, I'm not a committed funded partner, but but I will continue to look for those funds.
I know we talked before about corporate sponsors on campus and
Mhm.
being able to approach some of those, and with news like Verizon putting $50 million, place their name on the educational center, that's a very exciting get for
It sure is.
Cornell. And I would still like to continue to explore, would they give back to the community a small portion towards school or education, or something that's mission linked.
Right. Well, the $50 million gift is all building, so there is no program,
Again, just as an example.
But I agree with you that there's opportunity in corporate engagement. I know we are in the middle of building a brand new corporate engagement strategy. I mean, that meeting literally happened today.
Okay.
So everybody knows that I
And the
have my
community
hand
is
out.
part of that, would be part of that or that conversation.
I am a famous beggar now,
Okay.
all over our campus. Yes, I'm hopeful, and I've got some ideas about how to do that, but we're very early in the process.
Good habits
so
start early, though,
I'm
right?
right there with you.
Okay, thank you very much.
But I'm aware of the issue, and it's important to me too.
Okay, thanks.
Ellen?
So to build on Christina's question, it's going to be a little bit more feet to the fire here. Is it possible, and I'm going to put this out to everybody in this room, that when Cornell gets a grant for building, and it's nice that Verizon gave this grant, they're also getting their name on the building. So is it, what we're asking for is when they give a grant to get their name on a building so that they're publicizing themselves, that they also give something to the community.
I'm not in a position to answer that question, unfortunately. It's certainly an idea I'm happy to carry around with me, but that is not my role.
So who does
We will talk to people about that, but there is, I would say that, as Diane said, we're early in the process, so these are issues that we can raise and can take back. I know that usually I would not be the one to, obviously, in the development department, but we usually there's for specific items and the capital project or a specific program, that type of thing. But Ellen, everything is up for discussion, absolutely, and we'll be happy to talk about that to the extent that we can get more information for probably this could be a discussion at another meeting.
I have asked faculty when they apply for big federal grants like NSF, National Science Foundation grants, for them they always have to carve out some engagement. So I've asked them whenever possible, and it's almost always possible, to include us as the community engagement, K-12 generally, and our pilot sites. So and they are doing that. So that's the upside. The downside is that the timeline so for instance, my boss, Rajat Manohar, applied for such a grant, and he did put us in for funds, but he applied in June, and he will hear in next September. So it's like an 18-month, 15 to 18-month timeline. So I'm starting to get money in the pipeline, but in terms of today, it's more challenging.
I think that's pretty nice, because I know for certain venues like Hollywood Bowl, they'll offer a ticket for $1 for the community who can't afford it. And if you build it in right from the beginning, then you don't have this problem with NSF. I mean, we got NSF grants, and people literally died that were part of the team. It took so long to actually get the grant.
I believe it.
Yeah. But I mean, I think corporate has a nice flow and a quicker turnaround than any kind of than grants. You know all about this. You did this before.
I did.
Yes.
Okay, anything else?
Quick question.
Rick?
Google recently announced a coding program for 100,000 New York City school kids
Yes.
after school. I know the Roosevelt Island after school program has been having difficulty getting involved in that project. Are you guys?
I will tell you about that project. That project was offered here. It could be offered here. It could have been offered here. We've talked about it. It's not. Something happened in the announcement of that project, but it's available online for free right now to every school in New York City, and it has been for 6 months. I've mentioned it a couple of times, and I'm very happy to shepherd it through. It's designed, it's online, it's free. I think what happened in the announcement was that that they were talking about DYCD providing support for rolling it out. Absolutely, 217, I've already made sure is going to be possible, part of that support, but honestly, we could be doing it today. So,
Is there someone should they contact you? Or?
they can contact me. I've talked about it with
Okay.
them before, but I will do it again. We're going to meet on Friday. I'll bring it up again. Literally, you go online and you start. It's really simple. It's very, it's kind of turnkey. They need a couple of adults in the room, but they don't have to be coders. It's all scratch programming. It's that block coding that we talked about. It's in several areas. There's one on sports. There's one on fashion. They're attempting to hit all sides of the divide. There's one in science, and kids work on projects over the course of it. It's designed for after school.